I put out to you guys, what was your game of the year? And we received in total 97,000 votes. It's a lot. It's a lot. And honestly, across our two different channels, we actually had it very, very close. I was curious to see if the live channel or main channel would have like a difference in their approach and in like what the people like. Like, is the main channel more RPG focused, but the live channel is more something else? You know, I don't know. But of the two, our first one off the main channel, the pick was, what's your game of the year? I could only pick 4 options. I'm sorry. KCD2 took 30% of the vote. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 took 49% of the vote. Hollow Knight Silksong at 8 and 13% picked other. And of these others, there's, 1.6 thousand, but, Brazilian Drug Dealer 3. I opened a portal to hell in the favela trying to revive MIT AIA. I need to close it. Okay. Dispatch, Death Stranding 2. It was weird, but it's Kojima weird, so it's emotional and epic as hell. Dispatch, let's see, Death Stranding 2 again. Blueprints, first Berserker Kazan, Death Stranding 2. A good number of Death Strandings. Tainted Grail, Dispatch, Hades 2. Good number of choices, but far and away, Expedition 33 and KCD2 were the front runners, and Expedition 33 took the award with 49% for a game of the year for the main channel with 56,000 votes cast. Okay, so they took it on the main channel. Live channel, what's the split? How did it break down? Well, we had a very similar story. 41,000 votes cast. Of those 41,000, I swapped out Silksong for Dispatch. It actually performed very similarly. But of these, KCD2 took 28%. Clair Obscur took 51%. Dispatch took 8%. And then other also made up 13%. And it was broken down similarly. Yeah, Kazan, Death Stranding 2, Arc Raiders, Concord, Silky of the Song, a bunch of those. Okay. But once again, Expedition 33 took it for game of the year. I think, like, as I've said 1,000 times, this year was so good. Any one of these games winning it would be like, yeah, fair, honestly. Like, if your favorite game of the year was Arc Raiders because you put 1,000 hours into it, honestly, fair. If you gave it to Dispatch because you love the narrative, cool, fair. If you gave it to Split Fiction because you thought the co-op gameplay was brilliant, because it was, cool. This is one of those years where there's just so many qualified candidates. It's totally fair. For me, this whole thing comes down to KCD2 and Clair Obscur. For me, those are the two games that slip past just being great or amazing, and they start to slip into games that I know I'm going to think about and talk about for years and years to come. Both are phenomenal for slightly different reasons. I would not call them both RPGs in the same sense. It's why I got low-key triggered when KCD2 didn't win RPG of the Year at the Game Awards, because I think that they're such different games. To compare them and put them in the same category is just like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like they are competing for different awards if they're both RPGs. Like, they're competing against different things. So I just wouldn't consider them the same thing at all. But for KCD2, when I talk about that game, I am talking about a game that is one of the most immersive games that I've personally ever played. And when I say the term immersive, I mean not just that it's easy to get lost in, like just spend hours and hours and hours hiking around, like going hunting, going and completing various quests, playing dice, doing all this stuff. It's not just that, it's that you actually start to like live and breathe in the world. And the best example of this level of immersion that I can think of is when you start to like explore the world, but you don't rely on UI or anything like that. I started to get to know the map so well that I could tell pretty much where I was based on like the time of day and how that interacted with the buildings around me. And I could see like in the distance, oh, there's that building, and I know that that's the back of the building for like this tower, so I need to go this. Okay, I know where I am, and I can like mentally place where I am on the map. And that's why the hardcore mode, if you've not tried the hardcore mode, you should, because the hardcore mode removes a lot of those benefits of like placing you on the map at certain points. And it just allows you to get immersed and to just explore it. And I just freaking love it. I also think the story was phenomenally well done. It wrapped up Henry's story. I thought it wrapped it up in a satisfying way. I was speaking to Neon Knight actually about the story because we were debating whether they should do a third game or not. When we were in Prague for KCD Fan Fest, we were talking about it, and one of the guys in the car, Mike, one of the coolest guys I've ever met in my life, dude. He's an OG, works like he's got connections at Sega going back to like the 80s. Dude's an OG and super, super cool. But he like is involved with the publishing of KCD. And so he knows what their next project is. He knows if there's going to be a KCD 3, but he wouldn't tell us anything, of course. But he's in the car while we're debating whether there should be a KCD 3 and if there is, if it should be Henry, if it should be a direct sequel or whatever. And he's just chuckling and laughing. He's like, you guys have, yeah, no, it's interesting. He kept saying, it's very interesting to hear your perspectives. I was like, I bet it is. He's like, you dumbasses. But I thought they wrapped up his story really well. I really liked what they did. I also think, again, when we're talking about like what games represent and everything, KCD 2, I thought was such a breath of fresh air. For one, it was so polished, they were able to move up the release date, which is basically unheard of. Like, they moved up the release, not a delay. They did the opposite. Okay, it's crazy.
Kane 8222 donated $10 through Super Chat.
Thank you.
E33 released on my birthday. I asked you if you were going to review it. You couldn't say yet, but your expression got me excited.
Oh, yeah.
Respect to KCD2, but for me playing E33
Prologue on my B-Day was epic. Dude, for real. It's kind of a sad way to start your birthday, but I know what you mean. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. Just a little bit. Hopefully you weren't turning 33. That would also be a bummer. But no, I totally get what you mean. And yeah, I think I remember that because I was reviewing Expedition, but I couldn't say I was reviewing, so I was just like, can't say. Which is stupid because like you sign the NDA and you can't say that you're reviewing it or playing it. But you also don't want to lie. So if the answer is yes, you say no comment. If the answer is no, you'll just say no. So everybody knows the answer. Like, just let people say it. But anyway, yeah, you get what I mean. But going with this, I just think like the story and the execution of everything was so well done in KCD2. I just ate it up. It is an epic adventure. And frankly, when you play it from the first game all the way through to the end of the second game, it is quite the journey, and they do a really good job of it just flowing seamlessly through. The cinematics are great. The performance was really good. The fact like this is like a bougie humble brag. I'm not trying to humble brag, but I'm just using it as part of this story to paint the picture. Okay, they gave reviewers a full month with the game. That means that they sent us access to the game. I think it was January 4th. When they sent access to the game, I got the email or whatever, and I was on a little island in the Caribbean called Exuma, which is known for having herds of pigs that swim. I'm not joking. Like they live on these islands. These pigs live on the island and they swim around. It's really cute. But I was in the Caribbean. This is going to come as no surprise. The Caribbean doesn't have great internet. So it's all like cell service based. So there was just no way I could download the game, but I anticipated that. So I brought in my luggage a Starlink mini thing, and I set it up outside. I had my laptop outside in the grass, and I downloaded KCD2 from a satellite while I was in the Caribbean. And from there, I was able to do the network share to my ROG Ally, the small like mini ROG Ally, and download it there and copy it over from the PC or from my gaming laptop. And dude, the game even worked on the little ROG Ally. It was great. So, and I know what you're thinking, Luke, why are you playing KCD2 while you're in the Bahamas on a tropical getaway vacation? It's because we all got norovirus, which if you don't know norovirus, it basically turns your body inside out. It's horrible. It's the worst thing ever. It's horrible. Like norovirus, especially on a vacation, is the worst thing ever. And the Exuma, like the Bahamas, are like low key, kind of a third world country in a lot of places. So there's no medicine. There's no like, there's just nothing. You're just alone. And so we were struggle bussing through norovirus, and I played while I was bedridden because I was so nauseous I couldn't stand up. It was that bad. And so I played KCD2 on my little ROG handheld through that whole thing. And so for me, KCD2 is just like this game that is tied to all of these different fibers of this year for me, and is very near and dear to my heart. I love it absolutely dearly. I think it's one of the most immersive and impressive RPGs I've ever played, and I adore it. I just adore KCD2. That brings us to our second primary candidate. Is going to read it. I don't know if it's going to read it. Alex, thank you for that super chat. Luke, you're right about KCD2 wrapping up the story, but don't forget the game has sold 1 million on the first day, raked in 260 concurrent players, and was nominated for Game of the Year. Embracer won't want to let go of a lucrative IP like this. All I know, and I don't have secret knowledge or anything, okay? So anybody who's like, Luke's really close to KCD2 guys, so, you know, to Warhorse, so he's gonna let it loose or something. No, I asked them, you better believe I asked them. I was like, what are you doing after this? What are you doing after KCD2? All they would say, they would pivot, they would dodge the question, obviously, which they should do. They shouldn't just leak it. But one of the common threads was that they kept saying stuff like, we want to avoid burnout. We want to do something that keeps us creatively challenged, which to me sounds like a new IP.
_404 donated $10 through Super Chat. KCD 1/2 should have been what the evolution of Bethesda games should have been. Mocap performances, good cinematic cutscenes, more natural NPC, world interactions.
Yeah, interactions, improved trade/skill progression. Yeah, I agree. I think the evolution of KCD 1 to 2, you can really see like the original vision, and then KCD 2 is the realization of that vision. Like they were able to actually do everything they wanted. Yeah, I would agree. They pulled it off, I think. Yeah. Thank you for the 10. Also, good to see you, Blackthorn. Hope you have a good day, my friend. This all brings us to our second front runner for Game of the Year. I actually have so they sent me the collector's edition for the game before anybody knew it was going to be big. So I have the original first batch, little statue. It's like hand painted and everything. Look at this thing. Look how cute it is. I mean, like, yeah, it's sad and devastating, and she's weeping for no spoilers, but I love Expedition 33. This was one where when it was first revealed, I think we all kind of immediately got this feeling of like, okay, this may be special. And I don't know how to put it into words. Maybe it was just that it was really pretty. Maybe it's that the music was so good. Maybe it's a combination of all of it. But from the moment that this was revealed, a lot of us had a feeling like it was going to be something special. It was just novel. It was a unique story. It was something that people hadn't really seen before, and it seemed compelling. They had a pretty baller voice cast too. And every shot just looked like it could be a wallpaper or a screenshot. Like, it's just stunning. And then we got the game, and it brings back a lot of old school ideas from like old JRPGs, but then it expands on them with some newer ideas. And the best way that it's been described is like a melding of some of these, like the adventure of maybe a God of War mixed with the framing of like a Final Fantasy with combat inspirations from Sekiro with the parries and stuff. And honestly, it's not a bad way of describing it. It's so impressive. So impressive. I'm the Juggernaut Glitch, gifted 10 memberships. That gets 3 booms. Boom, boom, boom. Did a fake out. Didn't even see that coming. Thank you. That's crazy. Very generous. Thank you for that. And everybody who just got a membership, get your booty in the Discord. Join us. It's a member in Twitch sub only Discord. You got to get in there. Thank you. And then Jordy Vision, thank you for the 5. Expedition 33 made me want to get into turn-based in their version, but the ending knocks it down due to being really no stakes. No spoilers in chat for others. Yes, no spoilers. Some people love the ending. Some people don't like the ending. My wife, no, by the way, I can't say my wife without immediately doing the Borat. So sorry, not sorry. Cancel me. I don't care. It's my opinion. I can't help it. Just what happens. I think that this game just took a lot of people by surprise as well. It was also on Game Pass, which anybody who says that didn't have some help influence, I think is not really appreciating it. I had friends that, like, I know from college who wouldn't typically play a game like this. Like, it's just not their style. But the fact that they could try it through Game Pass, which they already had, and just download it and give it a shot, that really helped with that barrier to entry. They decided to give it a shot because I have nothing to lose. And then they ended up falling in love with it. And I think it, you know, a lot of us were worried that maybe it was going to harm its performance initially or like monetary payoff, but they ended up really, really overperforming. There were stories within the first week or so of the game's launch that it had sold out physical copies across Europe. Like, they just didn't have enough copies. It's crazy. They sold out. I didn't know you could still do that, but they did. So I think the game featured a lot of really novel and unique ideas, which was really refreshing, especially in an age where so many games we were seeing were just rehashes of the same thing. The art direction stunning. For me, the standout, I think more than anything with Expedition 33 is the music. Like, there's just nothing on this level.
And everyone of that age vanishes into nothingness. Every year she paints again. And every year, an expedition departs for the continent with one hopeless mission. Destroy the paintress so she can never paint death again. We'll break the cycle so she can't steal anyone else's future.
This world is full of wonders.
Yet everywhere we go, we walk with death.
Do you mean we're the only ones left?
It's just a vibe. PTSD, Luke, PTSD. Yeah, dude, for real. It's just a vibe, dude. I have not listened to a video game soundtrack, like casually driving in the car, in so long. But I listened to the KCD soundtrack, or KCD, to the Expedition 33 soundtrack regularly. Like, regularly. It's just a vibe. It like sinks into the pores of my brain. I love it. I love it. If there were like any sort of award for best music of the year, it goes to Expedition 33 without a doubt. Phenomenal compositions across the industry with many different games, but I think that this was not just great, like this was once in a decade levels of soundtrack composition. So good. And I mean, more than anything, I think part of the reason it exploded so much was also because of the story of the game, not like the narrative, but also this idea that a tiny team was coming out with a game that was priced lower than the competition. They were the underdogs and they started swinging for the fences and came out with this thing that just blew everybody away and was just bafflingly impressive. The game is far from perfect. I still insist that things like loadouts would be great. I think a lot of the leveling could be balanced out. There were regular times where you would go while just exploring the world and then you find one encounter that was, 20 levels higher than all your characters, and then the next one is 20 levels under. Like, I think they could have balanced out a lot of that stuff. It's just like a little disjointed at times. So I think that there's definitely places they could improve for a sequel, but man, this game was utterly tremendous, and there is a reason why it gets so much praise. I do think what's interesting is that what's happened after it won pretty much everything at the Game Awards is that the pendulum kind of swung. So they went from being the underdogs to all of a sudden being the big dog in the span of like an evening. And that all of a sudden made it cool to go from being the fan of the underdog to being the hater of the big dog. And so overnight you saw like people on X and like Reddit and everywhere immediately flip, and all of a sudden it was like cool to hate on it, which I find like a little cringe. I just want to talk about the games, like whatever. But both phenomenal. KCD2 phenomenal. Expedition 33 fantastic. That brings me to the final decision. I've thought about this way more than I ever thought I would, because I think they're both phenomenal games. KCD2 for Game of the Year, Expedition 33 for Game of the Year. They're both fantastic, and if you gauge them in different ways, you could probably land at different conclusions. For me, I think it's like what game is the game of the year award can kind of change year by year. It's like, are you picking just the best overall game, your favorite game? Are you picking the game that you think will have the biggest impact on the industry? Are you picking the game that you think is going to be talked about in a decade or whatever? But I think ultimately, for me, these are both games made by teams that are sort of like, they started small. They started with ideas of things that shouldn't work. The idea that a team of fundamentally 33 people, I know they hired contractors, but a team of 33 people and a dog, that they came together and they decided to try and make an ambitious, like, narrative RPG like this, and that they actually were going to pull it off. Like, that shouldn't work, but it did. The idea that they would also start a new studio, Warhorse Studios, and they would make an immersive sim medieval RPG where like you have to worry about sleeping and the smell of your clothes, and like the idea that you would make that into a game also shouldn't work on paper, but they did it with KCD1 and leading into KCD2 where they made it better and refined everything. I love both of these games so much, but I think at the end of the day, for me, if I'm just picking the game that I think has had the biggest impact on me, the game that I am going to return back to regularly, the game that I think changed my standards and expectations for future games of its genre and RPGs, I think for me, at the end of the day, my pick for Game of the Year is KCD2. Expedition 33, phenomenal game. For me, I think KCD2 just showed what happens when you just get pretty much everything right. Like I've said in videos, I've tried to think of things that I would change or tweak or improve in KCD2. Other than just more, I'm not sure what it would be. Like, it's just, for me, it checks off so many boxes in so many ways. I just freaking adore it. I just adore it. And when your primary critique is that you want more, that's a good critique to have, you know? With Expedition, I can think of plenty of things I'd like them to change or tweak or shift in a sequel. With KCD2, I'm honestly, like, I don't know what I would do differently in KCD3. Like, I that's why they get paid the big bucks, and I'm just here playing them, you know? KCD2 is a game that has changed my expectations and standards and understanding of what's possible. And I think in terms of what it represents also, it's really impressive to see them make something so ambitious, and they come out with phenomenal performance and optimization, lots of I think refreshing approaches to level design, to writing, to quest, everything. It's just freaking fantastic. I just absolutely adore it. So shout out Toby, shout out Warhorse, shout out KCD2, and of course the amazing guys over at Expedition 33's studio, Sandfall Interactive. It's all phenomenal. But I mean, at the end of the day, for me, there can only be one Game of the Year. And for me, even though my community voted for Expedition, for me, my pick this year is KCD2. Sorry, not sorry. Cancel me. I don't care. Just my opinion. He took my thing.